All right, so we're gonna start with a warming up exercise. This is a technique that we usually use to get the creative juices flowing. These activities are very rapid and they have an intention to create unexpected connections that can spark creativity. So this activity in particular is called objects and verbs. And instead of telling you much about what the activity is, I'm going to try to facilitate it. So the first thing that I would ask is for you to look around. Look at the objects that are on your surroundings and choose one of them. It doesn't matter what the size of the object is. It doesn't matter what the function of the object is. You don't really need to hold it in your hand. So feel free to choose the fridge if it's next to you. Feel free to choose the car if you're riding your car, whichever object is around. Okay, so now that you have that object, I want you to think about a number between 1 and 14. So think about that number. And now that you have the number, that number is going to give you one of these verbs. So I want you to write this verb in your sheet. And if you chose an airplane that you just saw as you were walking and you were thinking of number 1, then that verb will be exactly the function that the object accomplishes. So just choose another verb that accomplishes a different function than the object that you chose. All right? So now that you have those two things, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 1 minute to come up with as many ways as you can think of to use the object that you chose to achieve the verb that you were given. Okay, so for example, if you chose the coffee maker and you were given the object fly, you need to come up with ideas on how you could make a coffee maker fly and what will be the object for a coffee maker to fly. And in order for you to do that, I will give you 1 minute and I will put this very fancy aquarium-like chronometer or stopwatch to get 1 minute. Now, we both know that you are not watching this video live, so you can just take a pause and take as much time as you want to generate ideas. But for those who are following and like the challenge, we now have 47 seconds. All right, so that was the objects and verbs activity. It is really great to be able to hold these idea generation sessions because they're very powerful in the sense that not only you're being able to overcome the obvious and unavoidable limitation of using your experience because your experiences are limited, but you're allowing yourself to connect your creativity and your input with everyone else's. And this is where holding group sessions becomes really interesting because you're amplifying and growing exponentially as you add members to these sessions. So this is a radically different experience than you sitting yourself and trying to come up with ideas. Now, this is not the only way, it's not the only strategy that you can use to get people in the right headspace. So I'm going to briefly show you a couple other strategies that you can use. So the first one is called 30 circles, and it's based on a creativity test. So what you're doing here is you're giving a person a sheet that has only 30 circles, nothing else. And you're asking this person to come up with as many ways to transform those circles into different things. So as you can see in this sheet, the person uses a circle to draw an orange, to draw a bomb, to draw a ring. So you're trying to build a constraint for someone and ask them to sort of break it or overcome it using their creativity. The second one is called What's This? And it's for those who are interested in creativity, it's also an adaptation of another creativity test called the Guilford test for alternative uses. So what it does is it asks a group of people to take one object and start imagining different uses for it. So you can, for example, take a fork and start passing it around, and the person can say, you can ask, what's this? And the person can say, this is a comb. And you pass it around, and the next person says, this is something to pick fruits when I'm harvesting fruits. And another person can come up with another different use, and you continue passing it around. What's important about this exercise is that you don't let groups give up too easily. So as you go around maybe 2 times, you'll see that ideas start to become harder to come to the surface. It is important to get teams to stick to that activity when that happens, because it is when you reach that threshold that some of the most interesting out-of-the-box ideas come out.